Hello, you're watching Afghan News with Mohsen Jamal. Some 540 members of the Taliban, including military commanders, have escaped from Kandahar prison via a 320-meter-long tunnel. Afghan government officials have confirmed. A Taliban official on Monday also confirmed the overnight escape, boasting that the prison break had been very well planned and that it was 5 months in the making. According to a Taliban statement, the tunnel was not dug by the inmates but by fighters outside the prison. Yusuf Ahmadi, a Taliban spokesman, said that 106 were Taliban commanders, while the rest were foot soldiers. Kandahar police said they had recaptured 8 commanders so far. The Taliban claimed that the prison guards did not notice the escape until 4 hours after the operation was completed. If number of escapees is correct, then the break would constitute a big success for the Taliban and would have a dramatic effect on the fight against the Taliban in the region. Taliban-led insurgents in Afghanistan would increase in spring and summer this year. The spokesman of NATO-led International Security Assistance Force said Monday. Brigadier General Joseph Lawrence told reporters in a press conference here that high-profile attacks are likely to continue and increase as insurgents attempt to promote a perception of instability. However, he said the overall number of suicide attacks continues to decrease in the militancy-ridden country. According to Blur's, 435 insurgent leaders have been captured or killed, and more than 2,000 mid or low-level insurgents have been captured and 500 others have been killed in Afghanistan between January 13th and April 15th this year.
Steps forward we are making in the reintegration program and with Afghan local police are more successful than ever.
A suicide bomber was the sole fatality when his vehicle blew up in southeastern Afghanistan, officials said Monday. The suicide bomber's explosive spike tractor detonated Sunday before he reached his intended target in Tortangi, an area of Barmal district in Paktika province, the Interior Ministry said in a statement. As a result, the suicide bomber was killed, the statement said. There were no casualties among civilians or security forces. Also, a roadside bomb struck a vehicle, injuring 5 civilians, including a tribal leader, Monday morning. The office of the governor of Nangarhar province in eastern Afghanistan said. The United Nations plans to launch several programs aimed at fighting drug trafficking in Afghanistan and neighboring states by the end of 2011. The executive director of the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime said on Monday. Yuri Fedotov told journalists during a visit to the headquarters of the newly established State Drug Control Service in the Kyrgyz capital of Bishkek that Central Asian states, including Kyrgyzstan, remain a lower trafficking hub for Afghan drugs. Afghan drug production increased dramatically after the U.S.-led invasion toppled the Taliban in 2001, and Russia has been one of the most affected countries, with heroin consumption rising steeply. About 90% of heroin consumed in Russia is smuggled from Afghanistan via former Soviet republics, including Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan. Around 30,000 Russians die from heroin abuse every year. Russia has criticized the U.S.-led international coalition in Afghanistan for not doing enough to curb drug trafficking, particularly for refusing to destroy opium poppy fields. Opium production is a major source of income for Afghanistan's impoverished rural population as well as for Taliban militants. NATO forces flattened a building inside Muammar Gaddafi's Bab al-Aziziyah compound early on Monday in what a press official from Gaddafi's government said was an attempt on the Libyan leader's life. The press official, who asked not to be identified, said 45 people were hurt in the strike, 15 of them seriously, and some were still missing. The United States, Britain, and France said they will not stop their air campaign over Libya until Gaddafi leaves power. Meanwhile, government troops bombarded the western rebel bastion of Misrata again on Sunday, a day after announcing their withdrawal following a 2-month siege. Musa Ibrahim, a government spokesman, said the army was still carrying out its plan to withdraw from the city, but had fired back when retreating troops were attacked. In the other development, rebel leader Mustafa Abdul Jalil told a news conference in Kuwait that the Gulf state had agreed to contribute $177 million to his rebel council to help pay workers in the east of the country under its control. They have moved into the flashpoint southern Syrian town of Daraa, where heavy shooting was heard according to witnesses on the scene. Footage aired on the opposition news organization on Monday, transmitted via satellite, appeared to show Syrian military fighting at unseen targets with sniper rifles. Security forces loyal to Bashar al-Assad, the country's president, stormed the large Damascus suburb of Douma early on Monday, shooting at unarmed civilians and arresting dissidents, riots campaigners said. Communications were cut off, and for the first time the military has become directly involved in quelling the uprising, much to the disappointment of opposition activists. Meanwhile, Syrian intellectuals expressed their outrage over the violence with a declaration on Monday signed by 102 writers and exiles from the country's main sects. Protesters in Yemen have reiterated their call for the immediate resignation of Ali Abdullah Saleh, the country's president, after his ruling party accepted a Gulf state broker plan for him to quit in 30 days. Demonstrators expressed concern on Sunday that the plan could be a maneuver between the president and official opposition parties to share power. The handover plan was drawn up by the Gulf Cooperation Council and endorsed by the official opposition coalition known as the Joint Meeting Parties. The GCC plan would see Saleh submit his resignation to Parliament within 30 days, with a presidential vote to be held within 2 months. He would be granted immunity from prosecution for himself, family and arts. But Ibrahim al-Badani, an opposition activist in the city of Abe, said he was surprised that the formal opposition had accepted the principle of immunity for Saleh. And at least 55 fighters were killed when South Sudan's army clashed with a rebel group in Jonglei State, as state minister said on Sunday, the latest in a wave of violence across the territory ahead of its independence in July. Scores of troops and civilians were injured in the clashes on Saturday. Peter Lambo's Upper Nile State Information Minister said the Southern Army clashed with forces loyal to renegade Army Commander Gabriel Tang during what was meant to be the reintegration of his forces into South Sudan's army, both said. The minister said Malakal, the state capital, had received 34 wounded SPLA soldiers and 43 civilian injuries. The clashes happened south of Malakal, just across the border in Jonglei State, both said. The oil producing south voted to separate from the north in a January referendum, which had been promised in a 2005 peace deal that ended decades of civil war in Sudan. Since the history poll, the region has been beset by violence and insecurity. And that was all for now. Thanks for staying with us.